Okay, how do you want to handle it? I can just keep a record of everything we spend and then present it to you? Okay. Thank you.
Well, then can I have a motion on this? Is there any more discussion?
Wait a minute, let me ask a question. So if, for the paint for the arena, they just put in a request for materials and stuff like that?
We have a budget item, and I don't have the budget in front of me. We have a budget item for the corrals. So they should be using their money for the maintenance, and we talked about it last year.
I'm sorry, I really don't remember that.
We did talk about getting a budget, but we never were informed that we had one.
And I do believe the last time when me and Randy looked at it for paint for the arena, we said go down to Bath Lumber and charge it on the account. And if it went over $50 to call, I'm gonna appeal. I think that's what we said, right, Randy?
What they're trying to collect the money for is in the arena, they got 4 panels that are rusted out.
Oh, you do know? No, that's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
We haven't heard anything.
We can clarify this better in the morning at our budget meeting. I exactly set up.
In the morning?
Morning at 8:30.
No, it's not.
I thought it was at 5. No, 8:30 in the morning.
8:30 here.
No, it's 9.
It's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock here.
You can come at 8:30 if you want to.
We won't be here, but
Is it here?
We're off the agenda.
Yeah, I can come at 9.
Yeah, I guess we're off the agenda.
Well, no, not really.
so what are we gonna do with this?
Move to postpone until tomorrow morning at 9.
Okay, can I have a motion then?
Move that we postpone this until tomorrow morning.
Well, no, tomorrow morning is just a workshop.
It's just the work session.
It'll be, nothing. It's for the next year.
You remember what I told you on the phone?
Yeah.
What did I say? Show up at the meeting tomorrow morning? Well, I told
No, you said
5, I know, I
5
said 5 o'clock PM, but
I
show up
will
at
be
9
here.
o'clock AM. Show up at 9 o'clock AM and put your request in.
Okay.
I-
Right, thank you.
Your email says 5. Yeah, you sent it to me for the budget.
Do we have, what are we going to do? We have a motion?
I think we need to table it to the next meeting.
All right,
Table the next to the council.
No, but, no.
all in favor?
Aye.
Did you hear that? We're tabling this. Are you in favor?
Yes.
Tomorrow morning's
Anybody
meeting,
opposed?
tomorrow's meeting is at 9.
I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you. Did you know about that?
All right, let's get this show on the road. Council members and clerk treasurer Winkle.
I didn't think that Dale would acknowledge.
Well, this is
Dale
a,
is a friend of the corrals.
we're moving forward.
Yes.
This is a discussion for possible action. It's approval of fiscal year 2013-2014 contract between the City of Ely and Operating Engineers Local Number 3, representing the City of Ely firefighters bargaining unit, and this contract is for 1 year.
What this is it's the current contract. When I came on in July, they were already, there was some people's gone, people's go, and nobody couldn't find any actual what happened during the negotiations. So both parties agreed to just leave the contract as is from the prior year and start from fresh. This contract is ending June 30th, 2014, so it's this current contract. There was no raises, there was no changes, there was no nothing. But we need to get it approved and sent back before we move forward for the new negotiations.
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this discussion for possible action, and this is mine. This is a reappointment of Lyle Norcross to the Municipal Utility Board, and Mr. Norcross's term would end July 1st, 2017. I did contact him, and he expressed great interest to be back on it.
You just missed quite a few meetings this winter, and I think that is a problem if he's not going to be around in the winter.
That's what I was concerned about.
I was about to say, I thought he was going to leave.
And I think before we appoint him, it's not due till July 1st to see what his commitment is in the winter, because then only leaves 2 people to have a meeting, and we had to cancel a couple during the winter. So I think I would move the table until we see if he's going to be able to serve in the winter.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I was still open for some discussion. Okay. Do we not have rules in place that if they can't make or miss a certain number, that they can be removed and someone else put in?
I haven't seen.
Something,
Well,
The only
use
rules
that.
that I looked at were with respect to residency issues.
okay. Well, I think that's something we might want to consider in the future.
Okay, this is Councilman Hanson. This is a discussion for possible action. This is a consideration to set the policy of the city of Ely that when a situation arises that has the potential to affect the health or safety of the citizens of Ely, that the city administration will make every effort to make immediate contact with the elected city officials and advise them of the situation as soon as possible.
I was blindsided totally and completely. I found out about the water crisis from my wife after school when she came up there to attend an association meeting, passed me in the hallway and said, "You heard the news?" Felt really rather stupid, to put it mildly. I think that the citizens expect us to do something, and if we don't know as soon as possible, we're not going to be in a position to be able to act. So I think we need to establish a very distinct policy in the notification of these events. Obviously, there are some things that can conceivably happen which is going to preclude their being able to contact us in a timely manner. But that's generally not going to be the case. Even then, emails can be sent out, and I check my email up at school several times a day, and Jennifer is good to send me things and let me know what's going on. But there needs to be a protocol of who's going to be responsible. In fact, the entire emergency management of crises probably really ought to be addressed. That's beyond the scope of this agenda item. But for present time, I would think that it would be absolutely incumbent upon our administration to make sure that everybody here at this table is advised just as soon as it's humanly possible whenever we have any kind of a situation that affects the health or safety of the citizens of Ely.
I think it's a great thing, and I think you should volunteer to make the policy and present it to the next one.
I would be happy to do that.
I so move.
And I'll second it.
All
Maybe
in
have-
favor?
maybe we have discussion.
Push your up and down. You gotta be quick on Marty.
I'm gonna keep working on this. I don't think this goes quite far enough when it says elected city officials, because I get the feeling that there were certain city employees that felt like they should have been notified. And maybe I think that could be expanded to be all city employees. Anyone that's connected with this issue should be notified. I don't know how hard it is to cast that net, but it certainly shouldn't be difficult to let everyone that works for the city know that we've got this security issue and we're dealing with it.
Sure, Sam,
So
would
if
you
it's-
put that in his
Yeah,
I think
we
so.
should put that together.
Yeah, I would like that
Knowing
included.
that it'll take a lot of fun out of the city workers, because it's like, did you hear?
I know. Well, they can still do that. So that's my comment.
Okay, we had a first and second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, reports. City council members, anybody have a report? Mr. Hanson.
Attended part of the zoning commission meeting today with the approval for the business going in there on Avenue L for Bradley. And I think that would be a good thing. Also had a discussion at that point in time about a potential remedy for the situation. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring that up or not, concerning the pavement of Mill Street there, which has been brought up by the Pintars.
No, why don't you, because I think that's a potential agenda item.
So we'll address it.
Yeah, I think that's probably an agenda item. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but.
No, I mean, that's the-
Two weeks before.
Yeah. So we'll look at that and bring it back in the future.
Anything else?
Not to discuss it this particular time.
Marty, have anything?
I'm sorry, I would ask, where is our public works director?
Not on an emergency.
You were late.
Here, we'll get started.
Anything, Marty?
Yes, very quickly, there's Sam's sentiment. I was blindsided too. I was out of town over the weekend, came back about noon on Monday and learned about this water issue. Went up to the tank and was actually able to slide under the gate, even with my pot belly, and climb up on top of the tank, looked around. And I was hoping that Ron would be here because I'd like to stress that the ability to do that should be corrected. I hope it has been corrected already.
Is that all?
That's all.
Anything?
Rural Roundup starts Wednesday.
What's that?
Rural Roundup has to do with the tourism board, recreation and tourism. We're gonna have a whole bunch of people there. They're gonna have all kinds of meetings. Goes into Thursday and then it wraps up Friday. Along with what our mayor and I were talking about today, I think that we should have some sort of identifying things. That we're city council people, and when we show up at things like this, which I would encourage you to do, that we be visible as city council. I really think that we should be more visible. And this would be one way to do a start. And I'll stop there.
Do you have anything? Do you
I'd
have
like to
anything?
report, the flower pots, the vessels have been chosen. We poured 2 of them last week, they came out real nice. They're gonna be sold for, how much are they being sold for? $85 for the pots and one
The bench, we put 175.
175, so these are the memorial pots and benches. Tammy Calvin has 500 flower plants at her house that she's raising up to plant in the flower pots. And we're looking for empty 5-gallon buckets, plastic buckets. We need approximately 40 of them. The more we get, the less we have to pay for it. They're $4 each.
So if we were to buy one, it doesn't have to be a memorial.
No, you can just buy one and it'd be, we'll still put it out on the street. We submitted the photos and the map to the DOT. Did you get
And
any?
John Ogden called me and he's putting in the paperwork and I'll go down next week to sign and it should be 2 to 4 weeks before we can have anything out on the street. So it's moving
that's-
along.
That's all
With the
we're
weather
waiting for.
forecast, I don't think we want to put them out.
So, anyway, that's moving right along.
Anything else? Okay, my report, since the last meeting, I gave permission for the White Pine Chamber of Commerce on behalf of the Silver State Classic Challenge to conduct the parade of cars on May 16th on city streets. And the parade will begin at the White Pine High School and end at the Bristlecone Convention Center. I also approved a special events 24-hour liquor license for their welcome reception the same night. Okay. Are there any things for the next, any items for the next regularly scheduled city council meeting?
I do have a question. Is there a utility board meeting tomorrow morning?
Monday,
Oh.
work session.
Anything? Okay.
That's the 8:30.
That's the 8:30,
Yeah, that's what it is.
Public comment. Comments not exceeding 3 minutes in length will be accepted from the general public in attendance. If any are made, there will be discussion upon those comments. No vote, decision, or action may be taken upon matters raised under this item until it is formally placed on the agenda. Comments during the discussion items will not be accepted from the general public. Section 8.05 of the Nevada Open Meeting Law Manual indicates that the public body may prohibit comment if the content of the comments is a topic that is not relevant to or within the authority of the public body, or if the content of the comments is willfully disruptive of the meeting by being irrelevant, repetitious, slanderous, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, or amounting to personal attacks or interfering with the rights of other speakers. Do we have any comments? Public comments?
Sorry, I would just like to thank you all.
Could you state your name,
Oh,
please?
excuse me, Brandy Barney, Brandy Rodriguez as well. I would just want to thank you all for your time and your approval. Apologize for missing it, I sneezed and missed it. But I wanted to know what happens next. I got the approval, is that right? So will you guys mail me something, or do I come to the office and get more paperwork? Okay.
Early in the morning?
Okay,
And then you can start advertising.
great. Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, my name is Jim Northness, Ely City resident. I have a couple items. As far as recycling goes, the landfill has been raising their rates to the people for the last 4 years of $1 a year. And when they did the administration, or the cost of raising enterprise fund fees for the administrative cost that was turned down by the state of Nevada, they did keep $4 of that money, and it goes into the landfill fund. The landfill can't afford to subsidize recycling if it must be done. You don't need any more money. Okay, then there's another thing. As I was riding around town, I noticed off Fay Avenue that all of the dirt taken off the Center Street paving project was in that old playground. I would like to know if that was part of the bid contract, or if that decision was made after the project started. And if there was more than one person bidding or one contractor bidding on that job, if everybody was aware, that could be a possibility. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I had also been told that there were some neighbors who had complained about the fact that Pintars had extended their backyard over Cannon, as did one other neighbor. With me was a land developer and realtor Chuck Taylor and a general contractor Richard DeForest. After we completed our assessment, this is our conclusion regarding these lots, as well as the lots on the northern end of Cannon. Lots do have the potential for development, but then again, so does any piece of ground. The question becomes feasibility and cost, and the cost would be astronomical for the piece of ground on Block 6. First and foremost, there would need to be a complete engineering study, hydrological study, and geological survey in order to assess the slope of the hill behind those lots. A retention system and drainage system would need to be established. There would be an incredible amount of ground to move. I guess I should thank the person or persons who decided to help themselves to my dirt. But it is quite obvious somebody's been mining my hill. I hope whoever did received permission from my family prior to doing so, since this is destruction of private property, which is now my property. Whether it was 18 days ago or 18 years ago is irrelevant. Regardless, to level the ground for development would still require the movement of several 100,000 pounds of dirt. Services would need to be run to the lots, and this is not a cost that would be even partially absorbed by the city. By the time the infrastructure had been put in place just to allow construction to begin, the cost would be between $300,000 and $500,000. By using a figure of $400,000 and allowing for 6 buildable lots, combining 3 lots to make 1 buildable on Block 6, the lot cost alone would be around $67,000. Using an extremely conservative standard of $85 per square foot, a 1,300 square foot home would cost $110,500 to build at base, with no upgrades and no allowance for profit to the builder. That puts the total cost of the home at $177,500. If a minimal lot markup of 15% is allowed, that jumps the price of a basic 1,300 square foot home to nearly $190,000. I've researched the home sales in Ely, and that is going to be a tough sell, especially in the older part of town. This does not make it feasible nor cost effective to develop those lots, especially since the actual cost per square foot for a home in Ely appears to be more along the line of $100 to $112, even upward of $120. More if the lot is included as part of the building package. While I understand it is an apples and oranges comparison, a 7,480 square foot corner lot in Morningside subdivision One of our most premier subs with an average home price of over $350,000 is $53,750. The same 1,300 square foot home here can be picked up with a lot home package for $135,000. With the exception of big lots, the lots on the north side of Cannon are a little more feasible, but not by much. I'm not basing this just on my own judgment. There's still more, but
Why don't you go ahead and finish
Okay.
that off?
Yeah, we all got one.
Oh, you got one? Oh, never mind then.
okay.
You
Yeah.
got the email.
I didn't get one.
Any more,
You know what the law says?
any more public, what's that? Any more public
Well, if you're gonna
discussion?
put out a memo or a statement, you gotta have it available to the public also. That's not being
public
done.
comment.
She was reading from a written statement, sir. That was presented, you knew it was gonna be presented, so you should have extra copies. Pardon me?
Yeah, put it in the sta- put it
No,
in
the
the
entire
statement.
statement will be in the minutes.
You should have it available prior to. It doesn't say that it can be picked up later at a.
Well, that's all right.
Public
Let's,
comment.
this,
George, bring your comments out and hand it to him before you comment.
You can have this copy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
okay, public comment.
Hi, Rick Stork again. Hey, you guys really need to take a look at Nevada law on the recycling at the landfill. For one, any county in the state of Nevada under 100,000 people, you cannot make it mandatory to do recycling. And then when I was out at the landfill, we did everything possible to turn every bit of cardboard or anything that was recyclable to Tony. We worked diligently with him to try to help him out. And the people that have decided to bring the stuff to the landfill to get buried, that's exactly what they're doing. The landfill, that's exactly what it's called. It's a landfill. It's not a recycling plant. And that NDEP, when we checked into it, to have an area for recycling, you'd have to build an area, kind of like what Tony did with the building there. That'd be in a fenced-in area to control all the litter, and it would have to be manned by one employee. Two, if you had any kind of machinery in there, for every time the landfill is open. So that means you would have to hire an additional 4 people to basically run that recycling center 7 days a week, and that's what the landfill is open. So, check in with the NDEP a little bit, find out what their feelings is on it. And when Tony came to me 3 years ago, I told him it's a losing proposition in White Pine County because there just is not enough residents and not enough people. He's talking 191 ton over a 3-year period, divided out 23 ton per day average at the landfill, roughly 8 days worth of garbage that is saved out of the landfill. The permitting that I worked on, that's just on the process of getting finalized, is going to add anywhere 60 plus years of life to the landfill. So it's going to more than make up any loss that you would have by not recycling. You can't force people to recycle if they don't want to. And right now, the people that want to recycle, taking the stuff to his business. The ones that don't want to are taking it to the landfill.
Are we allowed to make it easier for them to recycle?
You cannot scavenge. You can't scavenge at the working place in the landfill. Bins could not be put in the landfill, and the EP says put them down at the gate. You can't put them there because you'd have everything so backlogged up, and that's why they decided at the time is not to put any bins at the landfill. And that, moving on, I'd like to know, is there any truth about a dog getting killed at the dog pound approximately 2.5 weeks ago? So the word's going around that there was a pit bull that was in there for quarantine because he bit a police officer, and he was let out in the day area with another dog, and that pit bull killed that dog. The people at the landfill were well aware of it. They heard the dog getting killed, but yet it was tried to get hush-hush and kept quiet in that. But I'd like to know if that's a fact. If the dog is quarantined, that means he's supposed to be quarantined and not with any other dog.
Thank you, Rick. Is there any more public comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, my dog's been being killed for a long time. I'm getting tired of that too. Madam Mayor, in reading City Code Chapter 6, Section 16F-7, it states that if any person interferes with the city engineer, such person so offended shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor. And I'm asking again, which I've asked in the past, has the city ever filed any misdemeanor charges against Mr. Carson, Keith Carson, or any other individual for any of their actions regarding the sewer line project contemplated in Central Eden? At one time it was a major issue, and here we are better than a year later, and we're nowhere. It needs to be resolved. Madam Mayor, there was a situation that happened last year with a city employee involving an elderly woman. I'd like to know if that was ever resolved. There's a policy in which the city has on how the public is to be treated by city personnel. I never saw anything done about that. Madam Mayor, I can't remember where I stopped at prior, but in reviewing the few permit reports that I've been provided by you, I've got to see where County Commissioner John Ambrose has applied and received a variance regarding setbacks on his new construction on Mill Street. I went to the city planning commission a while back. They told me it was approved about 5 years ago by the regional planning, which was with the county. I went to those folks just recently, and I asked for any paperwork or documentation from them. I think I'm being led in a very goose chase, but I'll follow through. And if I'm given wrong information, those that gave me the wrong information, I'm going to bring them to task before you folks. You have people serving on these boards; they need to give out proper and correct information. No merry-go-rounds. Madam Mayor, I've not seen anything on the agenda in regards to the Winter Road project where someone paved on private property. I asked in the past, and I'm asking again, who engineered that road, who surveyed it, who approved it. I believe the contractor was upset at one time because barricades came down early, and you folks paid for a penalty for leaving for some signs or something like that. I mean, if we're going to follow procedure, everybody has to follow procedure. Not just the city paying for the posting of signs. Also,
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I need some answers.
Could I have is there any more public comment? Okay. May I have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, okay, all right,
This isn't Staples, but there you go.
You know what I asked you for this? After forewarning you.
Well,
If you're going to read it, make sure you copy.
yeah.
Read the open meeting law. I don't mean to.
No, I know. No, I didn't take it that way. It's just, yeah. We've got like 5 boards and all these special meetings. It's nuts. But yeah, if you're fine.
Let's let somebody else private property.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachas reporting. The preceding program was sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer, at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Ely TV, Channel 3-2 in Ely, Nevada. Local news telecasts can be seen Monday through Friday at 12:30 and 6:30 p.m. on this station.